Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom! Shakalaka done. I would love to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. I will put that down in the description so you can get to them more easily. They are an online counseling company. They will set you up with online counselors. And I love them because I've been getting really good reports back from people who have been using them. And they are easy to use and they're affordable. And that's what I love. So if you're in a small town, you want to get a counselor that's not in your small town, but you don't want to drive for hours, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. If you are in another country, they will put you with somebody here in the United States, which I think is awesome because, like I said, I've been hearing that the wait times are like ridiculous. So you can get in immediately to a counselor here in the United States. You just got to fill out a couple of questions and they'll set you up with somebody that can see you. So BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. All right, so let's dive into the questions. Do narcissists compete with other narcissists or other abusers to be the nastiest or the biggest victim? Oh God, yes. Oh yeah. They have to win. Even with other abusers, they have to win. They have to be the craziest, or they have to be the happiest, or they have to be the saddest, or they have to be the whatever. They're the biggest victim ever on the face of the planet. Yeah, and especially it depends on what their particular brand of psychopathy or brand of narcissism is. But yeah, they very much are in competition with everybody, including other abusers. They're just nuttier than a fruitcake. All right. Number 2, all I want is for my ex to apologize. I just don't understand why they don't. They're crazy. So healthy, normal people, short answer, they're crazy. Healthy, normal people have empathy. These people don't. If they've been abusive, if they've harmed you, if they've hurt you, you're never going to get those magic words, I'm sorry, ever. Not in a sincere way. So when an abuser apologizes, bunny ears hopping all over the place, when they apologize, it's a fake apology. It's not accepting accountability, responsibility, none of that. It's more along the lines of, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you made me. I'm sorry you feel that way. Those are all narcissistic apologies, as opposed to, wow, I hurt your feelings. I did that. I am sorry. It will never happen again. And then it never happens again. So with abusers, there's no empathy there. When I tell you guys that there is no there is no there. There truly is no there upstairs. There's just no empathy. There's no, normal healthy people, we do everything we can to avoid hurting people because we don't like the way that feels. We know how that would feel, and we don't want to be the cause of someone else's pain. Narcissists, on the other hand, do not care. Do not care. The biggest mistake that we make is that we assume that they think like us, and that's what they're counting on. They're hoping that we're not going to be, looking for the red flags or looking for the bizarre behavior or looking for the, and so they take advantage of that, and we get hurt a lot because we keep hoping that they will have one of those epiphany moments and go, oh my God, I've been hurting you. I'm so sorry. That's never going to happen. I'm so sorry. I wish it would. I really, 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 really wish it would. Wouldn't the world be a wonderful place if there were no psychopaths and no narcissists? Yes. Let me answer that for you. Yes, it would. It would be a fantastic place if there were none of these people around. But unfortunately, there are. And to continue not living, hoping that they are going to apologize is just not going to be good for you. It's not going to end well. So basically, you're going to have to learn to live with the apology that you never got. And you can do one of two things. You could imagine them apologizing. You could write it out. You could do that. Or you could just kind of go, interesting. Well, the personality disorders that don't apologize and don't have empathy tend to be psychopaths and tend to be narcissists. So, you know, you just got to accept what is and let it go. Write them an angry letter. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you hurt me? How dare you behave this way and not have any empathy about this whatsoever? How effing dare you? Trot it out to the barbecue, read it out loud once, burn it. Take your power back. You don't get to live up here in my head rent-free one more minute. Sorry. You know, I get it. You're never going to apologize because you're a douchebag and you don't think you did anything wrong. Okay, fine. You live in that fantasy. Good luck with that, because karma's going to be a biatch when it comes. So, you know, let it go. Burn it. Let it go. Let it go. I'm going to start singing Disney here. So, yeah, you're going to have to let it go. And it sucks. So, yeah, they don't, because they don't have empathy. That's why they don't apologize. And they don't think they've ever done a wrong thing in their entire life, which is just mind-boggling. But once you understand how a psychopath thinks, once you understand how a narcissist thinks, once you understand how malignant borderlines think, yeah, geez Louise, yeah. All right, my boyfriend is now jealous of my friends and doesn't want me hanging out with them. Danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger, danger. So basically, isolation is one of the many techniques that abusers do. And what they'll do is they'll say, I don't like your friends. I don't want you hanging out with your friends. I don't like your family. I don't want you hanging out, especially if the family and the friends are clued in that this person that you're dating is an abuser and they're trying to warn you. Oh, hell yeah. The abuser will absolutely isolate you from family and friends and make sure that you don't see them. They'll actually say that. I'll make sure that you guys are no longer friends. I'll make sure that you don't talk to your family or friends, or they tell the family that, or they tell the friends that. I'll make sure that you guys are not friends. And then they make it happen, because then they lie to the target of abuse. And depending on how malleable the target of abuse is, if they believe them, they're going to start cutting off their family and friends in order to gain the favor of the abuser, because they're playing out some childhood abuse that they went through, and the substitute parent or whoever the abuser is this person that they're dating, and they're looking for the approval of mommy, approval of daddy, whatever. So, and remember, kids tend to side with the abuser because they're trying not to get in trouble. So if the inner child is running the show, the isolation is going to work. So, yeah. So if you notice that your boyfriend or girlfriend is jealous of your friends and doesn't want you hanging out with them, huge, ginormous red flag. Healthy, normal couples have got their own friends. They do. They've got couple friends, and then they have individual friends. So if you've got an abuser going, no, you can't be with your friends. I'm jealous of them. I don't like them. You guys are screwing around, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Sorry, dude. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. You tell them to go pound sand. You drop them like a hot potato. And I can guarantee you, then they're going to do the whole, oh, that's not what I meant. And, oh, I really love you and I miss you. And I'm so jealous because I love you so much. Oh, can I just, baloney. Baloney. That's not love. Jealousy is not love. Jealousy is not an indication of love. It's an indication of pathological thinking up here. Jealousy is insecurity, is what that is. And when somebody says you can't have friends, oh, that's a huge red flag. Run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay. I've started drawing boundaries, and I've had to let a lot of people go that I thought were friends. I guess they weren't. No, they weren't. So when we start drawing boundaries, okay, the only people that are not going to like the boundaries are people who benefited from you not having boundaries. In other words, users and abusers. So if they're having a fit and you're having to let them go because they're not respecting your boundary, then that's good. So remember, when we leave an abusive relationship, we are literally having to clean out all of the toxic friends, all of the toxic family, all of the toxic acquaintances. And sometimes that feels like we are getting rid of literally everybody. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. That is totally okay, because you need to make room for the healthy ones to come in. And you can't do that if you're friend closet is filled with all these toxic friends. So yeah, you get rid of them. So if they don't respect your boundaries, no, they were not your friend. Absolutely. Friends, real friends, have respect. RESPECT. Find out what it means to you. Seriously, write it down. What are your boundaries? What are your listed deal breakers? What will you not put up with? And you warn people once, you give them a warning shot across the bow. Okay, here's the deal. I'm not putting up with this. And if they do it again, be done. They are showing you who they are. Okay. I tried going no contact with my parents, but I hadn't worked on myself and felt really guilty. Now, after working on my boundaries and self-esteem, I went no contact for good, and I finally feel strong and happy not having to talk to them or hear their BS. Thank you. Oh my God, that is so cool. Good job. So this is the thing. If we have not worked on ourselves, going no contact is going to be difficult because we are still suffering from codependency and fear, obligation, guilt, cognitive dissonance, and they know it and they're playing on it, and they just do those hoovers and then reel us back in. So it's really important that when you leave an abusive relationship, whether that is a family abusive relationship, a boss, a coworker, a friend, doesn't matter. You work on yourself and you work on your boundaries. So The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker, Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, CPTSD From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Tons of books, tons and tons and tons of books. So yeah, you got to work on yourself and you've got to get strong in your self-esteem so that you don't fall back into the inner child running the show, and you don't fall back into that low self-esteem of, oh my God, nobody's going to love me. I better go back because nobody's going to wrong. There are 7 billion people on the face of this planet. You're going to tell me there's only 1 out of 7 billion that can love you? No. Wrong. Incorrect response. No, there are plenty of people that can love you, but you've got to love yourself, and you've got to have good boundaries, and you've got to have good self-esteem so that when somebody disrespects you, you don't put up with that. You absolutely do not put up with that. Okay, I have a sibling that I had to go no contact with. Ooh. And they will not stop texting and emailing and calling and leaving notes on my car. What should I do? Okay. So, first of all, you've gone no contact with them. You could send them an email or a text, so you can document it, saying, please stop contacting me. I do not want to be contacted by you, period. Okay, so now you've given them a real clear warning, right? If they are a dark triad, if they are psychotic, if they have got this controlling, need to control, narcissistic, the whole thing, they're the types, the dark triads are the ones that generally do the stalking because they've got the psychopathy. So they've got the narcissism and they've got the psychopathy, and of course they're control freaks. So those are the ones that tend to be stalkers. And I think this is where people get confused because they're like, oh, only romantic partners stalk. Oh no. No. It can be siblings, it can be parents, it can be bosses, it can be coworkers, it can be friends, it can be anybody. So you basically, again, you tell them, I want no contact with you. I am blocking you on everything. Please stop contacting me. If they continue to contact you after you have told them, please stop contacting me, now you're gathering your evidence. Now you're going to get all of the emails, all the social media, all of the, notes from the car, any sort of footage of them leaving notes on the car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is why I love the ring telephone. No, the ring doorbell, ring telephone. It's been a long day. Ring doorbell so that it has footage. You can get footage of people coming and going, and it goes off with motion detection and all of that. So then you're going to take that to a court and you're going to file an order of protection, and you're going to supply all of the evidence that this person is harassing you, that you've given them a warning, that you want nothing to do with them, that you've blocked them on every avenue. Another fun thing that stalkers love to do is they love to call from different phone numbers. So they'll borrow friends' phones of theirs, or they'll get a burner phone, or they'll, whatever, and they'll continue to try to contact, hoping that you're going to pick up, not recognizing the phone number. So you get all that evidence together and you file an order of protection. And then here's the important thing, though. An order of protection is only a piece of paper. You have got to call every single time they violate the order of protection. Otherwise, it's not going to do any good. So let's say that you have more footage of them leaving a note on your car. Great. You call the police. They just left another note on my car. I am reporting this because I have an order of protection. Here's the order number. Here's the blah, 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 blah. And you do it every single time. And hopefully, if you're in a jurisdiction that isn't completely corrupt, they'll do something about it. Now, I have heard cases where the police are like, oh, this isn't a high priority, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, what ends up happening is somebody who had an order of protection ends up dying, and then it becomes a high priority. And I'm just like, you mother, don't get me started. So you call it every single time, and you don't take no for an answer, and especially on the third and fourth time. Look, this is the fourth time they violated. What is it going to take? Because these people should be going to jail when they start violating orders of protection. So there is that. Okay. Where am I? How are we doing on time? Okay. Oh boy. My narcissist parent claims to have found God. I have been no contact and they claim they want contact. P.S. The parent has got terminal cancer. What do I do? Well, it's really, what are you wanting? What do you want? What are you going to be okay with? If you're okay never seeing them again, then don't. Don't break no contact. If you've made peace with that, then don't break no contact. I think where a lot of survivors, especially kids, adult kids, get screwed up is that these people claim to have found God. And I'm like, what? Was he hiding behind the refrigerator? What? Hello? Oh, I found God. And it's like, well, God's forgiven me, so you need to. Okay, I'm not God. That's not my job. That's not my job, and that's not what forgiveness is about. I dig why you've done all the things you've done. I want nothing to do with you. Have fun with that. You deal with your maker with that. Have fun with that. So that's the difference between compassion and idiot compassion. So compassion is going, wow, this person is really messed up, and I dig why they're doing or what they've done and why they've done it. However, I don't need to have them in my life. Idiot compassion is where we go, oh, I feel so guilty. Oh, they found God. Oh, well, God's forgiven them. I should forgive them too. Okay, you can forgive them from afar. That does not mean you need to have contact with them. Let me just say that again. You can forgive them from afar. This does not mean you need to have contact with them. So I strongly suggest that you have a sit down with yourself. What can you live with? If you've made peace with never speaking to them again and they pass out of this world, cool. Stay no contact. If you feel, okay, I want to give it one more shot, okay, but don't be surprised that it's an act. Don't be surprised. This is all about them. Again, it's the narcissism. It's all about them. Well, God's forgiving me. You need to forgive me, because they're terrified of meeting their maker. They're terrified if they believe in a maker. Most of them don't even really believe. So, it depends on what their motivation is. What are they, what are they doing? And a lot of times it's because, like I said, these older, manipulative, personality disordered parents, everybody's done with them. They're tired of their BS. They're tired of it. People are tired of it. And they're alone. And so they start grabbing onto whatever manipulation, whether it's religious or some other, or I'm dying or, medical, some hoover to get people to come back into contact with them. So just be aware. This is another manipulation. It really, truly is. So, yep, there that is. So you've got to just, what can you live with? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with them passing? If you are, great. And again, the question you have to ask yourself is, if you were not related to this person, would you have anything to do with them? And if the answer is no, act accordingly and get rid of the guilt. Work with a trauma therapist on the guilt. You do not need to have fear, obligation, or guilt. Fog, which creates cognitive dissonance, which then leads us to make really bad decisions. So yeah, really a good idea to get with a trauma therapist. Okay. What is the difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2? Holy mackerel. Okay. Bipolar 1 is the stereotypical off into the stratosphere manic, and then down into the depths of depression. So basically what's happening with the brain is that in the manic phase, it's bathed in all the feel-good chemicals. You know, all the endorphins, dopamine, serotonins, norepinephrines, all of those fabulous chemicals that lets us know we're having a good time. I've heard it likened to being on meth, which makes sense because meth forces all of the feel-good chemicals into the brain. So with bipolar 1, the brain hangs on to all those chemicals. The receivers are not sucking them back up out of the system. So the brain is bathed in all these amazing chemicals, and it's a high. And the person gets manic. And they have, you know, in some cases, they can have bipolar with psychotic features. So they start hearing voices, or they get delusions of grandeur, or they decide that they're going to go to Hollywood. I think I talked about this. I had a little client at the homeless shelter, guy that was in his late 60s, maybe early 70s, couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, but every time he went off his meds, he would go into that manic phase and decide that he was going to go start his career in Hollywood. And he would give impromptu performances in the common room. And he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, God love him. So we had to keep him from, you know, leaving and going on to a Greyhound. We'd get him back on his meds, and then he'd be okay, and he'd be stable for about 6 months or so, and then he'd decide to go off his meds again, and then he'd go right back into that, you know, delusional kind of thing. And he was manic. He was absolutely manic. Yeah. So anyway, with bipolar 1 and bipolar 2, remember, those are medical issues. Those are medical things going on that need to be dealt with mood stabilizers. So the mood stabilizers, so you go up into the mania. Mania is happening, brain is bathed, then eventually all of the chemical dries up. All the feel-good chemical dries up, and now, boom, down into a depression. And bipolar 1 is dangerous for the person who has it because it creates suicidal thoughts, it creates depression, obviously. There's literally no desire to get up or do anything when you're in that depression because the brain simply cannot produce the correct amount of feel-good chemicals to make you want to get up out of bed and do stuff. So the mistaken thought is that, oh, they're going to commit suicide when they're depressed. No, they wait until they're in the manic phase, and that's generally when they commit suicide. They have the thoughts when they're in the depressed phase, but they generally commit suicide when they're in the manic phase. So anybody with bipolar that's unmedicated needs to be monitored because they're possible danger to themselves. So yeah, bipolar 2, mostly depression. So it's like, yeah, they can come up into a little, it's hypomania. So they can come up into a little bit of a manic phase, but it's not like the full-blown boom of the bipolar 1. Hypomania, and then it drops into depression. So the main feature with that one is the depression. So, but that too, they need to be on mood stabilizers to help even out those chemicals so that they don't have the high highs and the low lows, so that they don't get the suicidal thoughts, so that they don't want to kill themselves. So yeah, those are two very serious issues to have and need to be addressed by medical doctors, by psychiatrists that can prescribe the mood stabilizers that will even out the high highs and the low lows. And I hear a lot of, especially when I was working at the homeless shelter, a lot of the clients that did have bipolar 1 didn't want to get the meds because they enjoyed the mania. And, you know, very creative. They would get very creative. They would do lots of, you know, creative things. But then the flip side of that is they would slide into the depression and then be suicidal. So yeah, it needs medical intervention is what needs to happen. So, and if you have any questions on mental health questions, don't go to WebMD. Go to the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic, look it up. Mayo Clinic Bipolar 1, Mayo Clinic Bipolar 2. And then look up all the symptoms and things like that. I would trust that website more than anything else. Okay, how are we doing on time? All right. Why does my stomach hurt when I feel fearful? Well, that's interesting because when I was a kid, I used to throw up all the time. My stomach would hurt all the time when I was around my abuser, and I would throw up. And so our stomach is kind of our second brain. It's our gut intuition. So, you know, there's that. And also, and now we enter the realm of the metaphysical. So Buddhist, hello. And I believe in chakras. And so we've got energy centers. And the third chakra, which is our solar plexus, is our fear center. That's where we feel fear. And I suspect that's why most kids, when they're feeling anxiety, it expresses as a stomach ache. That makes total sense to me, being one that did that. And the anxiety is being around somebody who's crazy, and you know they're crazy, and you know something's wrong, but all the other adults are going, oh no, we don't see the pink elephant taking a doo-doo in the corner of the living room, la 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 la. And meanwhile, you're sitting there going, the doo-doo's piling up. What are you talking about? And so that's fear, 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 fear. So yeah, our guts are telling us, they're screaming at us. So that could be, that could be one thing. And if it's only when you feel fearful, yeah, that's probably it. If you're having stomach aches other than that, I would strongly suggest checking it out with a GI doctor or a naturopath, because remember, a lot of our health and well-being and our emotions are affected by our gut bacteria. So it's really important to make sure that your gut bacteria is healthy, and to make sure there's nothing else going on. So metaphysically, yes, I do believe it's because it's the solar plexus chakra. So what can you do about that? Meditation helps. Reiki helps. Doing chakra clearings can help. And then on a psychological level, identifying your fear and giving your power back to yourself so that you feel safe, so that you're not, constantly in a state of anxiety. So that's why our stomachs hurt when we feel fearful, generally, and especially with kids. Especially if you've got a little one that's complaining about stomach aches all the time, it's maybe something physical, but more than likely that's their expression of anxiety or depression. So there it is. Is there a book to help with financial abuse? There are tons of books out there on finances. I think there's one on financial abuse. Donna, what the heck was her name? Donna somebody or other. And it was something about I lost myself healing from narcissistic financial abuse, or something like that. So yes, there are books out there. You'll have to dig for them. There's not a lot. But there are some books out there on financial abuse, what to look for, what to do. Super important that you have your own money. Again, narcissists and abusers, psychopaths, they isolate. And one of the ways they isolate is making either you dependent upon them 100%, or they make you work like a dog. You're the only one bringing in any money to sustain the relationship. And then they take it all. They spend it all. They make sure you don't get any of your own money, and they make you account for every cent. That's financial abuse. Absolutely. Okay, we got 3 minutes. How do I know the difference between fleas and full-blown NPD? Okay. Fleas are traits of. Fleas are behaviors that you have picked up simply because you've been around the abuser. Full-blown NPD is consistent, and it's not something that they've picked up. It's something that they just are, and they do. So fleas can be squished. Fleas can be changed. Narcissists do not change. So you can tell when you're doing a behavior, or you recognize a behavior that you're doing, and you're like, oh, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't want to behave like that. What the heck? So that's a flea. You know that's a flea because narcissists don't think that way. Narcissists don't ever question their behavior. If you're questioning your behavior, it's a flea. There you go. So, and a lot of times when people come out of abusive relationships, they're like, oh my God, what if I'm the narcissist? And I'm like, no, you're not the narcissist. Here's the reason why. Narcissists don't go get help. And if they do, they go maybe 1, maybe 2, possibly 3 sessions. And then they give the big middle finger to the therapist, and then they stop because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the work because they don't want to look at themselves, because they know they're wrong on some level. They know it. So, yeah. So that is the difference between fleas and full-blown. So is the being worried that you are one, you're not one. So, because they don't care. They misconstrue it, and they think that that's a good thing. Oh, it's a wonderful thing I'm a narcissist. Oh, it's great that I'm a narcissist. I love myself. No, that is not what narcissism means. So, all right, kids, we are just about out of time. So remember, no show this Sunday. I'm going to be up to my elbows in tile dust doing the demo on the house. So the Sunday after that, I'm going to talk about external stimulus, internal stimulus, positive, negative, how to deal with all of that, how to stay out of positive toxicity, because that happens a lot in our society. All right, kids, I got to run. So you guys have a great day, a great week. Have a great day off on Sunday, you guys, and I will talk to you the following Sunday. All right, talk to you later. Bye.